So, hello, Tommy.
Hello.
What do you remember about the German invasion?
Relatively speaking, little, because the Germans came in, I think it was the 19th of March, 1944, and I happened to be visiting a cousin of mine who lived on one of the main thoroughfares of Budapest, and we were playing in a room. We heard a big noise and ran to the window. And when we looked down, I think it was from the fourth floor, we could see a double column of German panzers come in the middle of the road, and they were surrounded on either side, marching soldiers. And that is the kind of picture that stuck with me ever since. But just one small correction, this was not an invasion. The Germans purely and simply came to what to them at the time was a friendly nation, but they were afraid that Hungary would actually break the alliance and change sides and join the Allies. So they were just wanting to assert themselves at that point.
And I guess my next question is, how you coped emotionally with the Holocaust experience?
Well, it took me a long time to come to terms with it, as with the vast majority of people who survived the Holocaust, including people much older than myself. The solution was simply not to speak about it. The breaking point, where I changed my mind, was when somebody asked me about being a survivor, and I said, not really, because I haven't been to a camp. And it was pointed out to me that anybody who was alive at the time and is here to tell the story is a survivor. And really, if I want to make sure people know about it and don't forget about it, it's almost like a duty for me to go and talk about it.
And how did you cope day to day? Did you do anything to keep you distracted from what was actually going on?
At the time, or you mean later on?
At the time, while day to day, while you were hiding from the Nazis?
It wasn't a question of distracting myself from anything. It was simply living a life as normal as possible. And I didn't have much of my own age as company. So I had to mix with adults, and there was just one teenage girl who kind of condescended to me by playing with me. She had a set of Monopoly, and whenever I was really getting bored, I could always ask her to play with me for an hour or so. But that's how it went.
And how did you cope losing your family and friends along the way?
Well, I was in complete isolation. There was no such thing as meeting with family or friends because we didn't have any freedom of movement. So it was only my mother, the aunt and great aunt with whom we were more or less incarcerated together in a small flat. That was my company every day.
So how did you restart your life after the Holocaust?
It wasn't so much a question of restarting life after the Holocaust. The Holocaust, as I said earlier, was not a subject for conversation. It was a question of dealing with a post-war situation with lots of places in ruin, very little food, no heating, and simple events of survival took precedent over anything mental.
And my last question, I guess, is what do you believe we can do to fight indifferences, hatred, racism, and anti-Semitism today?
The answer to that is very simple. Do more of the same or similar events to today's. Ask people to bring first-hand information as long as me and a few others are available to do so, because it's much more useful to hear it first and rather than studying about the events from books and the like.
And would you say you're optimistic for the future and the future generations?
I'm not too optimistic for the future, I have to say, because I see in more and more places in Europe and also in the United States, the people with populist views are beginning to come forward. Democracy is being pushed into the background, and even people democratically elected, whether it's in the countries I mentioned or in Africa, use their position to dominate others, and that does not bring a useful conclusion, and it certainly turns me more into a pessimist than an optimist.